Hi, my name is Jennifer Knapp, and this is my presentation on the Walt Disney Company and their responsibility to environmental stewardship. So, a little bit about the Walt Disney Company. They were founded in the 1920s by the Disney brothers, and they started the studios. Um, and then in the 1990s, as they've grown throughout the years, um, a leading name in family entertainment, they felt that it would go best with their, business plans and their ideals as a company to give back to the environment and make sure that they were doing everything that they could um, in order to support the images that they gave to us, as families and as children. So, environmental stewardship. What is environmental stewardship? There are several different components that go into being environmentally sound. One of them is sustainability. Now, sustainability is the ability to maintain a certain status or processes within your existing systems. So, what that means as a company is as you are growing and growing, typically you consume and therefore produce more waste and resources. Becoming sustainable is being able to grow and grow and keep a maintained level of waste and consuming resources. Other parts of uh, being environmentally sound are conservation efforts, recycling efforts, and um, a responsible supply chain for your business. Some of the benefits of typically what you hear of going green uh, are consumer recognition. It's very supported trend, if you will, and one that experts do not see going anywhere for quite some time is to be making sure that as companies and businesses that you're doing what you can to not be willy-nilly with your waste management and recycling efforts. Another benefit is it saves you money. The less amount, the least resources that you're using, that means you're spending less, so you're saving money. Uh, Reduce environmental threats. Um, so that's obviously when you're, an example would be the plastic bottles. If they're not recycled properly, then they get, animals and children can find these and possibly hurt themselves, and nobody wants that in business. Safety is almost always the number one concern. And they also, another benefit is it conserves ecosystems. Excuse me, conserving the ecosystems around your businesses. Some steps towards a sustainable culture that Disney has done is through their inner park transportation. They have five antique steam engine trains, and instead of using steam and coal, um, the fossil fuels, they actually switched over and transitioned those to run off of biodiesel. This biodiesel is actually created from recycled cooking oil. So the cooking oil that the Walt Disney uses in their restaurants at their resorts, French fries and things like that, uh, they break that down and they actually turn that into fuel for the steam engines, which is really neat. This also, saves 200,000 gallons of petroleum and reduces the carbon dioxide emissions by up to 80%. Uh, rather than using the fossil fuels. So a great way to conserve and recycle, at the same time. Another, excuse me, another step towards um, maintaining that the processes within Walt Disney's company is their recycling program. They've really tried to step that up through the last years and make sure that there is, well lit, well seen uh, bins, recycling bins, for metal, paper, or compost, making sure that customers and consumers can see where to put those items, and also recovery efforts of if they don't get into the right container, making sure that an employee or a worker of some kind will get that to the correct spot. Another part of getting towards a sustainable culture is conservation efforts. The biggest thing that you can do is, you can have all the greatest programs and processes put in place, to save money or reduce emissions. But the biggest thing is, something simple: shutting the light off when you're leaving the room, shutting the water off if you're, when you're not using it. And a couple of other things that Walt Disney is doing is they are, I believe it was for their, excuse me, the release of their nature films. For every ticket bought, they would replant a tree in the Brazil Atlantic forest, which is one of the most endangered forests in the world. So I believe that they were had gotten over 5 million trees planted um, that they were going to put towards that area. One of the programs that the Walt Disney Company uses to give back for conservation efforts is their Worldwide Conservation Fund. They have donated over, or I should say, given in grants over $24 million that went to 112 different countries. And some of the examples that you see here, they're just a small portion of the different entities that have been awarded grants. And obviously, several different areas with between snow leopards, leatherbacks, which is a turtle, sea turtle, wetlands areas. So they're hitting the flora and fauna aspect of conservation, which is really great. Another part, excuse me, another part is waste management. So what you initially want to do is make sure that that waste is going to the correct place. One of the key things that Walt Disney Company has tried to do is to improve this process, since it's a main core pillar of being an environmental steward. And part of that goes with increasing the reduction of waste, improving the diversion, so making sure that if an apple gets thrown away, that's going to a compost pile and that's not going to a landfill. Really trying to divert waste to landfill ratios over the last few years. And then a couple of the other issues we've kind of touched on already. They increasing or improving the recycling process, which goes hand in hand with the waste sorting. And then recovery efforts. The example I gave about the plastic bottle being thrown down, making sure that that is actually picked up and put into a recycling container. So with any business, there's intake and outtake. So a responsible supply chain is really key when trying to not only improve the overall image of your company, uh, but make sure that the businesses that you are working with feel the same way that you do, um, and have the same goals in mind. So Walt Disney has made sure that they are getting responsible suppliers, um, from the very beginning, from the sourcing of the raw materials, um, and that they are going into suppliers that, um, are documented, and like I said, make sure that they have the same goals as the Walt Disney Company. And then because you have to have partners on the same side. This goes into your goals and where you see yourself going. You've got to have a baseline, and then they start from, like I said, they started back in the 1990s, and then in 2008 released a corporate responsibility report, and that has kind of acted as their baseline. So as you see here, they've got some targets on the left and the goals that they want to be at, which is great because, like I said, you've got to be able to not only say you want to do good things, but have got to have a plan in place to achieve a direct and realistic, simple goals. All right, and then that is my presentation on the Walt Disney Company and their responsibility towards environmental stewardship. Thank you.